Hello, hi, I'm Suzanne. My name is Suzanne R. Banks and I'm an aromatherapist, and the Mothership International has invited me here today to do a live Q&A. So I hope there's some live people out there to cue my A's. So what I'll do is I've made a few notes to go through in case there's not a lot of people out there, because I'm in Sydney. And I know a lot of you are in the Northern Hemisphere, so it's in the middle of the night. So what I'll do is, if you do have questions and you're watching this when it's not live, leave your questions here or get back to me through my website or my Facebook page. So my website is suzannerbanks.com.au, and that's got all of my information on it, or Banks Botanicals is my Facebook site, and I'll endeavour to answer your questions. So first off, I just want to do a little bit of housekeeping. You might see me coming like this a bit because I'm trying to read the questions, if there's any, which I hope there are. You'll also see me looking to the side a bit because I have made my notes and I want to check them to make sure that I'm on track and not warbling on about things. So I'll introduce myself first. I'm Suzanne, I'm an aromatherapist, we know that, yay. I've been practicing for over 20 years, and when I first got out of college, I had a room in a birth education centre. So my first foray into practicing as an aromatherapist was with young couples learning about childbirth, and I would go into the classes and talk to them about essential oils in pregnancy and childbirth, and I gained quite a few pregnant clients. And so over the years I've seen many women through lots of children and used aromatherapy really successfully in their treatments. And I've got a friend who has a doula college, and I have a friend who is a doula. So it's sort of come full circle for me in 20 years, because I haven't really done a lot of pregnancy clients lately. And what I'm doing is, if you do go to my website and then you come back in a few weeks, it's going to look different because I'm moving into botanical perfumery. But I do write a blog, and I've got loads and loads of information on my blog, which is a WordPress blog. You can find that through my website. And on the blog, it's a classic aromatherapy blog. So what I've done, actually, and I might do it now in case I forget later, I've had a look at what I've written in the past about the topic that we're on today. But there's not a lot, I haven't written a lot about pregnancy. So what I'll do is, in the next few months, I will try and write more about what we're talking about today. And, you know, probably if there's not a lot of people out there to engage with, I might miss things that I want to say. So I'll try and do some more blogs. Okay, so I had a look at what articles you might be interested in and that are relevant to you. So I'll just make a list of them now, like I said, in case I forget later, which I probably could. So the first article, which would be really great for you, is called Ratios for Blending Essential Oils. And this has got all the ratios. So what the ratios are is, how much essential oil do I put into a carrier oil to put on me or around me or whatever you're making. So the ratio for pregnancy is half that of what it is for an adult, and the ratio for children is the same as pregnancy, so it's less. So ratios for blending essential oils. Another one is Auntie, something is biting my legs, what not to do when using essential oils. And that's comes from my experience using essential oils with my nieces and nephews. And that's got what not to do. That's a good one, actually. Do essential oils and children go together is a good one. Do essential oils and babies go together? And then I've written a couple about nurturing yourself, because you are the most important thing. Yes, your kids are. Yes, your babies are, and your partners and everybody else in your life. But if you don't look after yourself, then it's going to be pretty hard to get through life. So one of those is nurture yourself now. And the other one is attention, all mothers have a massage. So there you go. They're my articles that you might like to check out. And as I said before, just in case I forget at the end, which I might do. So yeah, me, moving into botanical perfumery, but have been a practicing aromatherapist for 20 years and still do practice. I still have clients, I still treat people, I do body work. I've written a book, which you can see behind me, and it's a book about spirituality and consciousness and essential oils, and it's called Revelation, Reveal Your Destiny with Essential Oils, and you can get that from Amazon and, you know, as a Kindle or paperback. So my blog will continue. My website will change a little bit, but let's get into it. So I will follow my notes because I haven't seen any questions come up yet, but that's all right. I'll soldier on. So, generally speaking, the first thing I want to address is taking the toxic chemicals out of your life. Now, I have to say that the world is made up of chemicals. Chemicals aren't bad. They are the building blocks of the earth. But what I think is really important is to look at what products you've got, particularly body and personal care products. And you may not know what to look for, but really what I want to impress on you today is to cut out things in your life that you use on your body that are highly fragranced. And you'll be able to see if there's synthetic fragrance in it. If you're not sure if it's natural or it's synthetic, there will be things to look for, but it's the word fragrance can mean anything. It can mean essential oils, but it's usually chemical fragrance. And so these synthetic fragrances can really disrupt the natural flow of your body. So deodorants, body creams, body lotions, face lotions, anything, shampoos, anything. Things with foaming agents, you may have heard of SLS or SLES, the foaming agents. They're skin irritants, they're eye irritants, they'll sting you, they're not great for kids. You can get so many great things now that don't have those in it. And there are groups of preservatives that there's not definitive information that they're bad for you, like parabens, but you know, if you can cut them out, which you can now, that's what I recommend you do. But it's the fragrance, it's the synthetic fragrance that really, it's just quite awful. And then there's the laundry section. I cannot walk down the laundry aisle of a supermarket without covering my nose, sometimes sneezing. It's really, I find it really awful. There's products there that say perfume for clothes, and they're just really awful. Cut all the synthetic fragrance out of your life, and the benefit for you is going to be you're going to refine your senses. The more natural you become, the less toxic chemicals you want in your life. And look, with cleaning products, yes, sometimes you do need the strong things, and that's fine. And it's whatever you can do to lighten up your environment. So it's the synthetic fragrance, and of course a big one is perfume. I haven't used a classic perfume since I've been practicing for 20 years. And when I first learned about aromatherapy, the women who taught me, I first went to a weekend workshop, this is a long time ago, were two women that started really the first essential oil company in Australia called In Essence. And they were very passionate, they were sisters talking about essential oils, and they were saying how they never used perfume. And I thought, I loved perfume. I loved perfume as a young girl, and I loved the French perfumes, a couple of American perfumes, but I loved perfume. But it wasn't until I started using essential oils, those things just automatically fell away. And to this day, you know, when I go into a pharmacy and I see all those cheap perfumes, I just think, why would you put that anywhere near you? Essential oils are so much nicer. And again, it's about refining your sense of smell. And the benefits about refining your sense of smell is you will open up your sense of intuition and you'll be more in tune with yourself. So essential oils and aromatherapy, yes, they are about physicality, but they're also about expansion, about opening your consciousness, about helping your emotions. And actually in my book, I split it up into a few different categories. The first category, I say essential oils can help us physically. And we know this, essential oils, when we put them on our body, they do cross the skin and they do go into our bloodstream, but not a lot of them do. They vaporize on the skin, but when they're metabolized, they're metabolized quite quickly in the body. And I find in the body, and it really, you can see it in labor, tends to be quite slow. The body is very earthly and it's slow to react to things. So it's, you know, you might use an oil in labor and it does nothing on your body because you're in just a whole different zone. Then, of course, there's mentally. You can use essential oils to open up your mind, to help you remember. Rosemary, you would know that rosemary can help you remember. Basil's really good at opening your mind. Not so great for pregnancy, basil, but this is just an example. Lavender, hey, if you smell lavender, most of you would know that it's going to relax you. Lavender's a great oil of solidarity, of making you feel safe and nurtured, as well as being relaxing. So there's the mental, and then there's the spirituality and about connecting with all other living things. And this is where your intuition comes in. And why I keep mentioning intuition is because in your life, and then particularly in pregnancy and childbirth, it's not a one size fits all. And what's confusing about aromatherapy, and it's even confusing to me, is that there are so many different thoughts on it. Yes, you can use this in pregnancy. And then another book says, oh, don't use that in pregnancy, it's really bad. So I want you to start relying on your intuition a lot more when thinking about or choosing essential oils to use in your pregnancy and your labour. It's really, really important. And what you can do is, I've got some oils here. This is some organic lavender. So you could just literally hold a bottle of oil in your hand. Let's just say peppermint. You're nauseous, you're not feeling well, you've read peppermint you shouldn't use in pregnancy, but you love peppermint. And you eat peppermint lollies all the time. So, and you've got a bottle of peppermint there. Hold it in your hand. Is this the right thing for me? Immediately you'll know. And try not to think about it too much. Just let the feeling come to you. And, you know, have a whiff. There you go. So they're the sort of the three stages. So sometimes people will say, well, I've used this on my body and it really helps my cramps. And other people will say, well, I've used the same thing, it does nothing for me. So not a one size fits all. And the thing about aromatherapy is, yes, it's a science, very much so, but it's also an art. And this is where all the differences come in. So what I say, when I think of rosemary, for example, I will think about rosemary in a particular way, and I'll use it with a client in a particular way, and I'll use it for myself in a certain way. But you might use it differently, or another therapist might use it differently. But we're using it for the same thing, but there is a scope here. So intuition, very, very important. Taking the toxic chemicals out of your life, very, very important, especially synthetic fragrance, down to your washing powders, things like clothes softeners. Do you really need to use those softeners? I mean, they don't smell nice, they're not very good. I don't know, that's my big recommendation to you. Get all the synthetic fragrance out of your life and then bring it back to nature a little bit, and then you can sort of start to expand. Okay, right, next, that's what we've got. Oh, here's what I've written down that I've forgotten. There's a really great database called the Environment Workers Group, and their database is called Skin Deep. And it gives you a rating from 1 to 10, and it gives you information about certain chemicals if you want to look something up. Yeah, low toxicity, high toxicity, don't use it. And, you know, a lot of perfumes have, you know, not great things in them, and they're up there in the 7, 8, 9, 10s in the toxicity range. Actually, it brings me to another point, and actually I might ask myself a first question. Essential oils are natural, so does that make them completely safe to use? Look, essential oils do come from a natural source, but just because they're natural doesn't mean they're completely safe 100%. So you have to use the information that I'm giving you, that you can find out there, that are in books, and then yourself, how does that relate to you? You know, I haven't ever experienced any problems with clients or myself using essential oils, but I've seen it. where pictures where people have come up in welts and bumps and skin rashes. So it does happen. So just err on the side of caution always. So the facts about essential oils. Are essential oils safe in pregnancy? Generally, yes, but you need to use caution. Don't use them around you and on you all the time. And I'll get into specifics in a minute. Yeah, just don't use them around you all the time, because what if you're sensitive to something and you don't really know it and you create what's called a sensitization, which, say your favorite oil is geranium, and you've been using it for 15 years, and in your pregnancy you think, oh, I'm going to use a little bit of geranium because I really need it, because it makes me feel good and it's an oil of happiness and it works well for me. And you may get a reaction to it because you've been using it for so long in pregnancy. There's different things going on. That could happen. However, I've never seen any reactions, but just know that it does happen. You can just Google it, or use your search engine to have a look, and you will see, for example, people who've got big welts and rashes all over their neck because obviously they've had a sore throat and they've put tea tree all over their neck and they've come up in a massive rash. And then somebody else could put tea tree on their neck every day and nothing will happen. So the individual constitution comes into it, and this is where the range comes in. Essential oils are not digital, they're very analog, so it really depends on the environment, where the oils came from, where you're at, how you're feeling, what your history is, what oils you like, what oils you don't like. So yes, it continues to be, I guess, a little bit confusing for some people. Okay, so in preparation for this question and answer, and I hope there are a few questions, I went through all my textbooks, and believe it or not, there's so many varying schools of thought about it and about each different oils. So I'm just going to break it down for you. So yes, essential oils are safe in pregnancy. Oils to avoid: the strong oils, the oils that you're probably not going to find in a retail environment. You may have heard of oils like thuja and pennyroyal, particularly used as an abortifacient, people taking them to have an abortion. Well, there are cases of it, and a lot of the bad reactions, for example, talking about pennyroyal, have come from the toxic effect it's had on the liver. I think there's been one recorded death, but are these people taking essential oils, or are they taking the herb? The herbal extract is a different thing. Essential oils are different to herbal extracts. Essential oils are concentrated aromatic extractions, so they don't have all the same qualities that herbs have. So the strong oils, things like wormwood, wintergreen, thuja, what else have I got here? Pennyroyal, Spanish marjoram, which isn't a marjoram at all, it's actually a thyme. So let's say avoid thyme. Oregano. Some spice oils: cinnamon, cassia, maybe nutmeg, but nutmeg can actually be used quite well in labour. So just think, the strong oils that you're probably not going to get anyway, unless you're a therapist and you're using them all the time. I mean, I don't have half those oils. I wouldn't use them. So yeah, there you go. Wintergreen, cassia, cinnamon, nutmeg, and the strong oils. Stay away from the strong oils. Just don't use them. Then it comes down to a class of oils called amenagogue oils, or oils that are amenagogic, which means could help flow in menstruation. But there's a huge lot of discrepancy about these oils. One of the oils that falls into this category is peppermint, and I've read a lot about peppermint. One of my textbooks says don't use peppermint in pregnancy. And I'm thinking, right, okay. Other essential oil books from aromatherapists talk about how great peppermint is in a foot rub, and it is. When your feet are swollen and tired, get your partner to put a peppermint foot cream on. It's fantastic. Is it going to create really adverse effects for you? Well, no, it's probably not. Peppermint tea in pregnancy, well, you know, in the first trimester or even longer than that, you could be suffering from really bad nausea. Well, what if you drink peppermint tea every day? Is this okay with you? Ask yourself, is drinking this peppermint tea okay? Well, yeah, it probably is okay. And, you know, putting a drop of essential oil in the bottom of the shower when you get in to create a bit of a steam could be the best thing for your nausea. And then there's ginger oil. And then what if you hate ginger? Well, you're not going to use ginger oil. Don't use oils that you don't like. It's not going to work well for you. So, disputed oils that relate to blood flow in your period that people say that you shouldn't use, but across all my textbooks that I've read, I reckon that it's okay. Okay, so the disputed emmenagogic oils, myrrh. Yeah, look, why don't you just stay away from myrrh, actually? Really, do you need to use it? No. If you've got a myrrh toothpaste, I'm sure it's fine. Peppermint was the big one, but I really feel that peppermint's safe. Basil was an interesting one, and I actually had another aromatherapist the other day say, oh, what about basil in labour? I've read you're not supposed to use it. So I had a bit of a look. So basil was one of those oils probably good to stay away from in pregnancy in general because there's a few chemotypes, and what that means is there'll be a basil that's really high in linalool, which is in lavender, and that will be fine. Then there's a basil that you could get that's high in methyl shavicol. That's not so great, and you might not know what you're getting, so maybe stay away from basil. Marjoram, I would use marjoram. I would use marjoram in pregnancy for cramps, for sleep. So I think that's okay. They've got juniper was an iffy one, so maybe stay away from juniper. Rosemary has been listed, but then again, you know, if you love rosemary and you're really drawn to it, then put a drop in the shower to wake you up, to stimulate your mind. If it doesn't gel well with you, don't use it. Vetiver, and then also clary sage and sage don't use. So let me just recap that for you. I'm going to say in pregnancy, don't use clary sage, myrrh, basil. It's got vetiver listed here, so I'll just go with vetiver. And then there are other oils that are disputed emmenagogics that are really quite fine for pregnancy, which is rose oil. And I remember as a young aromatherapist, a friend of mine, the one who owns the doula college, she had been taught, don't use rose oil. Oh, you know, it's a uterine, it's an emmenagogic, it's not going to work well. And then, you know, I met someone recently who said, oh, I love rose oil. I used it every day in all my pregnancies as a perfume. Was she okay? She was totally fine. I would say rose oil is a fantastic oil for pregnancy. And then when it comes to that, generally speaking, across the board, all the lovely, nice oils that you would want to use are the oils that are okay in pregnancy. Rose, neroli, the chamomiles are okay. You know, some people say you can't use German chamomile or Roman chamomile in pregnancy, but really how much are you going to use? German chamomile doesn't have a really great scent. Roman chamomile has beautiful scent. And they're the expensive oils. So if anybody wants to get you a present, ask them to get you rose, neroli, chamomile. Jasmine's another one. So jasmine is classified sometimes as a uterine, which means it could be a tonic for the uterus. So is this necessarily bad in pregnancy? No, it's not, but maybe just don't use it in the first little while. Jasmine's fantastic for the labour room. So they're the oils to stay away from. So let's get a little bit more specific. Where are my notes? Here they are. Oh, actually, I've got listed down here, what are the myths about using essential oils? Well, I was hoping that you'd come up with some, but there doesn't seem to be many people out there. So one of them I've talked about is, you know, if I use essential oils too much, you know, am I going to have an abortion? And talking about that, or a miscarriage, talking about that, if you've got a history of miscarriage in your family, or you've had a miscarriage or multiple miscarriages, I'm going to say just stay away from essential oils in general. I've already sort of gone through these. Essential oils are safe because they're natural. Well, not always, and you do have to err on the side of caution. Here's a good question. Are drinking oils, essential oils, safe? Like putting drops of essential oils in water and drinking them, like lemon oil in water or peppermint oil in water if you're not feeling well. Recently, there's the multi-level marketing companies doTERRA and Young Living, particularly doTERRA. Now, let me say here, I'm not questioning the quality of the oils. I don't use them because they're expensive. I'm a therapist. I have trusted suppliers, wholesale suppliers. So I'm not saying the oils, I'm not saying anything about the quality of the oils. I can't really because I don't use them. But the education is a little bit questionable because they say, you know, put a couple of drops of lemon, for example, in the water and drink it. But essential oils are hydrophilic, which means they love oil, they don't love water. So when you put essential oils in a glass of water, they're not going to break up. They're going to sit on top. Even if you stir it, by the time you've gone to drink it, what's going to happen to that oil? It's going to go all the way down and potentially burn your esophagus. What if you do this over a protracted length of time? Not good. And I have people saying, oh, I went to my hairdresser's the other day. One of the hairdressers was telling me, oh yeah, well, I use this brand of essential oils, not going to say which one it is. And the woman who sold it to me, she said that they're therapeutic grade essential oils and that they're totally safe for ingestion. I said, what are you talking about, Tony? You can't drink essential oils. And she said, oh, no, but they're fine. They're therapeutic grade. I said, no, I'm sorry. Listen, I've got to set you straight. Her and her partner were drinking 2 drops of oregano oil in water, drinking it down for, I don't know, it could have been cold, flu, it could have been a stomach thing. I can't even remember. And I said, number one, why would you drink oregano? It's awful. It's going to taste disgusting. It's going to burn the back of your throat. What's it going to mix into? Then by the time, if any, gets to your stomach, well, your stomach acids will just eat it up. So it's not really going to have a great effect. And she said, oh, but it's therapeutic grade. And I said, okay, well, we've got to break this. And I suppose this is another myth. What does therapeutic grade mean? Well, this is actually, it's come into the public arena a lot in the last few years with these companies when they have a lot of independent consultants going out and selling essential oils. And in one way it's good because it's bringing essential oils into everyday life. But in another way it's not so good because I'm an aromatherapist. I cannot recommend anybody ingest essential oils. If you go to a doctor in France and they want to treat you internally with essential oils, that's a different thing. They're doctors and they have a different thing. So don't drink them. And therapeutic grade is actually a marketing term and it is a trademark marketing term from one of these companies that doesn't really exist on a level worldwide. Now, for example, I have a wholesaler and they have a range of grades that I can buy from. The first one being certified organic, the second being conventional. I think the third one is called blended and they've got a couple of other ones and maybe the last one's called commercial. So that's within their little structure, but there is no, in Australia, there is no therapeutic grade essential oil across the board. There is none in America, and as far as I'm concerned, in the UK, there isn't either. Each company might have their own grading system, but across the board it isn't. So there's a myth there, and don't drink them because they don't mix. And I had somebody ask me the other day and said, look, I've just become a consultant with this company and I'm having a party and I'm going to make some lemon water. And I just said, but why don't you just put lemon slices in the water? It tastes great. You're getting a whole range of minerals you wouldn't get with essential oils. It's safe. Use lemons. Don't use the oil. It doesn't mix. It will sit on top. And what you pour the first, you can't see it. You pour the first glass. Somebody drinks it. It burns their mouth. Not good. I have a sister-in-law. She's fantastic. She's a nurse. One of her colleagues became, a couple of years ago, a distributor of one of these oils. She's saying, oh, you can drink them. Come on, I've brought some lemon oil in. Let's drink it. And my sister-in-law said, yeah, I don't think you can do that. My sister-in-law's an aromatherapist and I'm pretty sure you can't do that. She said, yes, it's fine. They're therapeutic grade. Let's drink it. So they made their cups up, put their oils in. By the time Tanya went to drink her cup of oil, the essential oil had burnt a hole through the cup. So don't drink them. So there's a myth. Don't drink them. There's no across-the-board therapeutic grade. Right. What are we doing next? Come on, I need an assistant. Come on, people. I need people to assist me. Use your intuition. We did that. Oils to avoid. We did that. Seeking advice. If you're not sure, seek advice. Email me. Email the mothership. Find an aromatherapist around. Call them. Email them. I guarantee you there is so many fantastic aromatherapists out there would be happy to answer your question. And, you know, even energetically, if you're going to ask a question online, if you're going to email someone, they're going to connect with your energy and they're going to be able to go, okay, well, maybe this is what you can do. Call someone, go and have a chat with someone. But there's a lot of information out there, and yes, it's confusing. We've established that. So seek advice, find out, ask. Making aromatherapy easy. Okay, that's one of my points that I want to talk about. It does seem that it can be a bit complicated. And, you know, if you're not making an oil blend for your body where you've got to follow the ratios properly in pregnancy, then how can you make it easy? Well, actually, I already demonstrated it, didn't I? Fennel. Don't use fennel in pregnancy. That's the one oil I wouldn't use in labour. Amazing. Not in pregnancy. There you go. That's your aromatherapy hit. Keep a bottle of lavender oil in your bag, wherever you are. You're freaking out. That's it. You've had an aromatherapy hit. It will change your focus. It will change the way you feel in seconds. And it's amazing. So that's a way of making aromatherapy easy. I've already talked about another way. Feeling blur, can't wake up, feeling sick. A drop of lavender oil in the shower. Cover the shower rose, the hole with your foot. You get an instant inhalation. That's making aromatherapy easy. That's all you have to do. If you've got a diffuser, a vaporizer, sure, vaporize oils. You know, if you don't have a vaporizer but you want to get a general sort of warmer feeling from essential oils, boil the kettle, put a few drops in a bowl, pour boiling water on it, and it will just gently diffuse. And in fact, that's a really great way. One of the books I was reading was talking about that for nausea with spearmint oil. And it was, I'm not sure if it was Patricia Davis or Valerie Ann Werwood in their books, which I really love. I'm actually going to show you. It's going to be opposite, but The Fragrant Pharmacy and Aromatherapy A to Z. And these are both English aromatherapists. And why I love these books is that they've had experience with real people. They're not textbooks. They've actually treated real people, and so they can see what works. And one of them, and I can't remember which one, said for nausea, put spearmint oil in a bowl of water, boiling water near your bed, and it will just gently diffuse through the night. I mean, it'll only last a couple of hours, but that could maybe dispel the nausea in the morning. So making aromatherapy easy, it doesn't have to be difficult. Right. Come on, people. Come on, I need your questions. First trimester. I was taught, and I'm going to tell you, avoid essential oils in the first trimester. Why? Because we're going to err on the side of caution. Avoid fennel, avoid sage, avoid clary sage. Use your intuition, especially if you're nauseous. So drink the ginger tea or the peppermint tea if you like it. Or you can even get spearmint tea. Have a whiff of an oil. Sometimes one client of mine said orange oil was really good for her. Sniff. And look, that works for her. It's going to be awful for you. So a sniff of peppermint oil, yeah, that's probably going to be okay. Because as I said before, what if you're someone who loves eating mints and you eat a packet of mints a day, mints, not mints, mints a day, because that's really the only thing that keeps your nausea away. You're probably eating more peppermint oil in a day than you would from a couple of sniffs, and you're probably going to be okay. So once again, you've got to use your intuition, and even if you've never used your intuition before, then this is a great way to start using it, because I want you to get rid of all the synthetic fragrance and start coming back to center and relying on yourself, because you'll need it for the birth. And I mean, those who've have had 2, 3, 4 children, well, it's a bit easier for you in a way. Well, it's harder because you've got all the kids, but you've had the experience, it's much, much harder for your first pregnancy because there's that fear of the unknown. And, you know, you just want to make sure that you're absolutely doing the right thing for you and your baby. But put yourself first. The rest will flow on. First trimester, avoid fennel, clary, sage. Done that. I'm saying avoid all over body oils. Just, you know, in the first few months, if you're someone who's always used aromatherapy and always used essential oils on your body, well, once again, use your intuition. But let's just say we're going to stay away from essential oils in the first trimester, apart from treating nausea and other things. For energy levels and stress levels, the drop in the shower is great. So why not? Let's look at all the citrus oils. They're fantastic. They'll be safe enough for you to use. A drop of bergamot in the shower, a drop of lemon in the shower. Fresh, freshen up, make it really, really nice. Petitgraine's really lovely, which comes from the twigs and leaves of the bitter orange. The blossom is the neroli, or neroli, I should say. Oh, it's funny how we pronounce things the wrong. Something happened. I hope we're back. Hello, hello. Well, I'm going to keep going. Don't know what happened there. So energy levels, stress, the citrus oils you could use. Drop in the shower, we've done that. Another way to do it, if you know you really need, would be to put a drop, say bergamot or lemon. That's all you need. You know, you can do this. Just pat it on you. Have a little bit of oil on you for the day. It might make you actually feel better. Right. Okay, no questions about that. Going into the second trimester now. So, hopefully you're feeling a bit better. Not feeling as nervous, especially if it's in your first pregnancy. So, stretch marks is always a good one. So across the board in all textbooks and books that I've read and what I've used in a lot of my pregnancy treatments is mandarin or tangerine in a base of anything. Jojoba would be great, macadamia oil great, although it does smell quite sweet. Jojoba, sweet almond. And if you're not sure that if you're a bit nervous about using the essential oils, well, why don't you just do cold pressed oils. Jojoba oil would be fantastic. Almond oil would be fantastic. And so what might happen is you've already got stretch oils before you're even pregnant, and putting oil on your body every day won't make a difference. And then for somebody else, they put almond oil on their belly and around their butt and their thighs every day, and they never get a stretch mark, and they tell everybody, oh, I used almond oil, it's fantastic. Just got to remember everybody's different. So mandarin's good oil for stretch marks. I have a look at the ratios for blending on my blog for that. You can use body oils. I mean, when I do pregnancy treatments, I am using body oil all over my client's body. Granted, they may only have one massage a month, but if you feel like that you want to use a body oil, just use lower dilutions. Once again, use your intuition and use the nice oils like bergamot, a little bit of geranium's fine, a little bit of rose is fine, some lavender, even sandalwood, some ylang ylang, the really lovely, nice oils that you're going to be able to get easily. Insomnia, not being able to sleep, okay, well, lavender oil's a great one. A little bit of marjoram is fine for that too. You could do this. You could do the bowl of water in your room at night. You could vaporize in your vaporizer before you go to bed. You could put a drop or two of lavender like this, you know, you rub it on your pajamas, on your pillow, if that's what works for you. Sore muscles, cramps, well, I'd be making a little oil blend and getting somebody else to rub my back or my legs. A little bit of marjoram, Roman chamomile would be great for that, and chamomile and lavender is fantastic. You know, what if you've got cramps in your legs? Yeah, rub some oil into it, it's fine. Veins, getting varicose veins, well, once again, it's the same thing. You might have dark blue veins pop out all over your legs, and is a few drops of oil going to stop that? Probably not, if that's your constitution. But it may help if there's any pain, same with hemorrhoids. And the grey oils for soothing veins and hemorrhoids are cypress, Lemon is great. Juniper is good, but that's one of the iffy ones. So let's just say cypress and lemon. Cold compress you can use. So just in a cold water, a few drops of the oil, mix it up on the compress and compress on your legs or on the hemorrhoids themselves. And that can relieve pain and relieve swelling. Stress, freaking out, generally not coping. Once again, it's these general oils, the nice ones. Bergamot, orange, lavender. Lavender's your oil. Here's a question. Suzanne, what's the best oil to use in pregnancy? Well, Suzanne, it's lavender. So don't be afraid of using lavender. It's a great one. Or even just hold on to it. Makes you feel good. It's my go-to oil. It's the one oil in the world. Above all others. Even though I tell my oils they're all equal, they're not really. Lavender's more equal. Stress, inhalation, diffuser, a drop of sandalwood or your ylang-ylang or your lavender on you, a bit of geranium, anything like that. So once again, it's making aromatherapy easy. If you want to do all over body oils, great. Look at the dilutions, maybe ask for advice if you don't feel confident. And that's for third trimester as well. You know, you're just soldiering on with your life. And getting, if you are lucky enough to have a partner, getting them to rub your feet, rub your back, rub your legs, be super nice to you. Pre-labor, preparing for labor. Now, there's a couple of things here. Perineum massage, 6 weeks before, 3 weeks before. There's, varying schools on that. Just use some cold pressed oil. If you want to put a drop of lavender in, sure, go ahead, put a drop of lavender in. But at the right ratio, because you don't want to put too strong essential oils down there because they will burn you, because you've got mucous membranes. And it's like the mucous membranes in your esophagus. If you get a straight essential oil onto them, it's going to burn. So there you go. Pre-labor, preparing for labor, perineum massage. Body oil. Right, now I've questioned myself on this because my friend who's a doula asked me to make some oils up for her last year. So I refreshed myself about quantities and everything, and a couple of months later I looked at my samples and I thought, they're just not doing it for me. And I decided that a month before the due date, I would use full strength essential oils in the body oil for a couple of reasons. You want to get a bit of strength and solidarity in your environment. Number two, I felt that they're using safe oils, using good oils. So like rose, this is when you can use your jasmine. And you can now bring clary sage and sage into these oils to prep the body. And it comes back to what I say in my book. The body is quite slow. Now, if somebody had a big inhalation or steam inhalation, for example, of clary sage a couple of weeks before they were due, that could, in all possibilities, stimulate things going. Your waters might break. For somebody else, they could be inhaling clary sage every day after the due date for 2 weeks, trying to get something going, and nothing happens. I mean, I've given women really, really stimulating massages with full-on clary sage essential oils a week or so after the due date, and it hasn't really made a difference. So it all comes back to the individual. Pre-labor blends, neroli, rose, the really nice ones, fantastic. Jasmine, this is when you can bring your clary sage. Sage, this is when fennel would be a great one to bring into in preparation. Inhalations, but body oils, yeah, start oiling yourself up. Use your visualization. If you haven't had a baby before, it's the unknown, so the visualization can be really strong in combination with the essential oils. And if you've already had a baby, you kind of know what's happening, so it just can reinforce you. And lavender, once again, is that fantastic oil of strength and solidarity. Yes, it's relaxing, but it's like that for me. It can make you feel really self-nurtured and strong. It can give you strength, solidarity. That's what you want. Connect with the sisterhood. Use lavender. So there you go. Labour. I have been present at a few births and I have used essential oils. And I have also taken the advice of my friend, the doula. Recently, actually, we were talking about it. So in the labour room, You know, even if you've got a planned cesarean, say, well, why not put a little bit of lavender on you, or rose, or your ylang ylang or sandalwood on you, make you feel better. Forget about everybody else. It is about you. This is all about you. In the room, so if you're in a birthing suite or you're at home, you know, or I mean, really, that's what it is, because if you're in a labour ward, you're not going to have as much control. You're not going to be able to do that. So you're in a birthing suite or at home. Don't saturate the room too much with essential oils. I mean, it is nice to have a diffuser in there for initially when you go in to set the scene. But the way the body works and the way that the nose works in relation to scent is that after a few seconds, the scent receptors have locked on, and then you don't smell it anymore. So just use a little bit of oil. Don't saturate the room with oils, because, you know, 10 hours down the track, you don't want heaviness, you don't want headaches, you want fresh air, and you want things to be fresh. So body oils, if you've made a nice strong pre-labor oil, use that on your body for sure. Then the other things you can do, you know, if you're doing really hot compresses, you know, in really, really hot water on your lower back, use clary sage, use chamomile. My friend, the doula, actually recommended to me, she said, oh, I've been using clary sage. And I said to her, the thing about clary sage you've got to know or remember, can actually make you feel sick, nauseous. You don't want that. So if you don't like that oil, don't use it. Use some sage, use something else. Just come back to lavender. Chamomile will help with the pain. Lavender will help with the pain. Well, not really, in a way, you know what I mean. But a nice way to do it is inhale. And my friend Rebecca, the doula, said to have the oils on a tissue so you can smell them in between contractions or while you're having the contraction. So then it's not on you. You haven't put an oil all over you and you're just thinking, oh, get this thing off me. I mean, I know you could probably have a shower, but what if just that's not the way it's happening for you? So really comes down to you. And, you know, if you've got helpers in the birthing suite or at home, you know, write a little list of what you want them to do. So rose oil, beautiful. And, you know, that classic visualization of having a rose, you know, that's opening, a beautiful rose, drop some essential oils onto the rose. Just surround yourself with beauty and harmony. And, you know, like I said, if you sniff something, it can have an effect on you straight away. For somebody else, it might not. So in the labour room, the birthing suite, it's about your sense of smell, and it's about what's making you feel better. Less about the body, more about how the essential oils are going to affect your mind and your emotions, because your mind is in control of your body. So you don't want to be hanging on. You want to be opening your mind and opening your body. Right, the tissues, yeah, rose, jasmine, neroli, they're the big ones. Lavender, always stick with lavender. And then I've got after the birth, after you've had the baby. For perineum tears, well, if you've got stitches, I don't know, I'd put rosehip oil on the stitches or the tears, and I would definitely use a little bit of essential oil. Frankincense is a good one, and actually frankincense would be fine to use sort of from the second trimester right through for stress. It's very, very calming. It helps the lungs expand, so it's really good for deep breaths, so it could be great in the labour ward as well. So for perineum tears, you know, use cold pressed oils, a little bit of lavender, some cypress maybe. Even ylang ylang would be quite good, but in low dilutions. Check my ratios for blending essential oils on my blog, Suzanne R. Banks, and it's a WordPress blog, which you can also find through my website. Mastitis, cold compresses with fennel. This is where fennel really comes in well. Geranium, lavender, of course. Cold compresses, body oils. But before you feed the baby, make sure you wipe off with an oil, like a makeup pad with just almond oil on it. Clean the nipple area so your baby's not taking any of it in. Stress, anxiety, all the ones we've talked about before. ylang ylang, lavender, frankincense. Palmarosa is a fantastic one, and actually Palmarosa is really great in a pre-labor oil blend for you and a labor oil blend, and great for the room as well. Bergamot, all the lovely oils. That's just what you want to go for. None of the strong stuff, none of the stuff you don't know anything about. The oils that you like and know. I mean, basically anything goes in the labor ward or in the labor, the birthing suite. Anything goes. If you like an oil and you want to use it, because at this stage nothing's going to hurt the baby. It's all about you and centering yourself and about your preferences. So any oil you want there. Now look, I'm just going to check my notes to see what I haven't covered. If I haven't covered anything, can I find them? Oh, here we go. Look, I think I've covered everything. And it's been a little bit difficult because I haven't had any questions, but I understand that because it's a strange time. It was just really the only time I could fit into my schedule in my little studio here. What else can I do? Oh, I showed you those two books that I really like. They're the more old-fashioned books that I like. And I just like to say thank you. Thank you to the Mothership for this opportunity. It's been challenging, to say the least. And if you do watch this and you do need to leave a question, leave it here, or as I say, contact me on Facebook or my website. Thanks so much for those of you who have watched, because I have seen there have been some people watching, so yay, thanks. Best of luck. Warm wishes to you all. Peace and prosperity, abundance, gratitude. Thank you, everybody, and I hope to connect with you soon. Bye. Now I've got to work out how to turn it off. See ya.